The KTM 1290 Super Adventure. This is the S version, possibly the best value in motorcycling in general, but especially in adventure touring, now that it has been superseded by the 1300. And it's just an incredible motorcycle. Stay tuned for a full in-depth review. Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting brings you this incredible 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. Let's do it. Zdravo, dobrodošli, bon dia, bem-vindos, servus, willkommen, buenos dias, bienvenidos, greetings riders, and welcome to another Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting review, this time of my own KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. Possibly, I think the best value now that you can get on the used market, actually even on the new market, considering they come with 5-year warranty, which is unheard of. An attempt for KTM to kind of get back their name and their reputation after the disastrous, I would say, and nearly fatal to the company response to the cam issue of the 790 and the 890 LC8 motors. I discussed this when I reviewed the 790, one of my favorite motorcycles, and unfortunately it has that issue because it's such a great balance of performance and weight and power and everything. For the Super Adventure S, you get the top of the line everything. This one also comes with the additional $1,000 tech package. I'll tell you all about it and why I decided to own this one along with my 1190 Adventure R. So it's kind of interesting. I have both bikes now, and I've had the 790 Adventure S before and the 690 before, then the 625. All bikes I reviewed on this channel. So what made me buy this one? Well, to be honest, for the money, I mean, this was a $22,000 motorcycle plus $1,000 that you spent for the tech package, and now you can get them for less than half of that with 5,000 miles on the clock. I've seen them in the dealerships now for $13,000, $14,000. I mean, you get a ton of motorcycles. Everything about this bike is premium, from the performance to the suspension, of course, that KTM is known for. You get everything that you need on a motorcycle that you can hit a $150 on the highway going to that really, really difficult dirt trail, and then just switch the suspension to off-road or enduro, and you get a motorcycle that's incredibly capable, something that KTM is, of course, known for. So what of this motorcycle? You get the 1250 or 1290 cc motor. This is a 90-degree V-twin motor. It's very, very raspy. It's the same motor that's actually in the Super Duke R, except in the Super Duke it pushes at 180 mind-boggling horsepower. In this one they detuned it to 160. That's the max you can get out of it in street mode, in sport mode, for example. They did that so that they can kind of bring the gears down lower so that you can have a manageable motorcycle on dirt. Stuff like this. With the knobby tires, it's a little more capable even on harder stuff. The main problem being that you're bending wheels at that point because it is a lot of weight. I think it's a 560-pound motorcycle. Depends how you also wear it, of course. The best thing about the KTMs, I think, something they've really, really figured out, is keeping the weight low with the tank. This one doesn't have any protection like the 1190, the 1090 Adventure R, but it is plastic. You can remove, you can replace these pieces, and you do get a plastic skid plate as well to protect the bottom of the motor. I think something like 7.8 inches of travel, both front and rear, on these 17, 19 wheels. Now again, the problem with the wheels is that you bend them, right? So I've bent these wheels all over here. You can see that it's very untrue. And the fact is that this is not intended for hardcore dirt like KTM is really known for their capability on dirt. That's because they sell the Adventure R and the Super Adventure R. Now it's kind of interesting, they used to compete against it themselves because they sold the 1190, I think from 2013, 2014 on, and then the 1090 came a little bit after, and now they're selling the 1290 at the same time. So it's kind of wild that they would compete, because in each of the versions you get the S and the R, and then in the 790, 890 you also get a third version, the Rally, you know, with the ultimate everything. I think the upgrade for the suspension is like $8,000 on the R. So it's a lot of options for one brand, and it's all orange. You can't get away from that. Some years did offer some cooler colors, but it is I think a big handicap that I don't necessarily like or I don't love looking at the bike. And for me, I have to love it. I mean, life's too short to ride something that's not absolutely stunning. And to me, this is just wholly too much plastic. I mean, everything is plasticky, and even the orange is a KTM orange, but it's not like a pearl orange like on a Goldwing or something that's pretty to look at, that glitters and shines. Not that you need that from a motorcycle, but it'd be nice if they offered a few more colors to cater to the needs of the guy who has 25K to spend on a motorcycle and doesn't want to, you know, be all decked out in orange and helmet and jacket and all that. So I guess you're more visible in that regard. Orange is your favorite color?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. I thought that this bike only comes in orange in this year, and I thought that was a miss, because, you know, not everybody loves orange if they're going to spend money, but the bike is so good it doesn't matter.
Are there orange motorcycles that were orange, trucks that were orange?
You're a fan then.
Yeah, I like it.
So anyways, back to the KTM. Incredible motorcycle for its power, but it's also how it's managed. Now you get a lot of tech. I mean, you get all the tech in this thing. There's nothing they didn't include in this one, considering it's got a tech package. You'll get an optional, if you want it or not, quick shifter up and down. You can turn that off. Sometimes with boots, you tend to touch it, and you know, big boots can't really fit in there very well. So that's what you get with the tech package. You also get an adaptive cruise control. This here is a sensor that measures everything with infrared and radar and etc. And it's pretty impressive. So let's actually talk about that. The adaptive cruise control, you get something like 5 options with distance of how far you want the system to react from the car ahead of you. So that's kind of interesting. You can also get the regular cruise control that's just on or off. It doesn't have to be adaptive. Then you get a plus and minus on the handlebar that quickly adjusts the speed. It's really great. I find myself using the cruise control quite a lot. And adaptive cruise control, even on country roads, it's really nice, because you do a 500-mile day, you're going to be really grateful that you can throw that hand down, shake out. I got carpal tunnel, so I got to wear gloves in my hands because this all gets numb at night. These fingers go numb, and I got to shake it out. And then you lose control. You lose feel of the throttle or the brake, and you're losing control of the bike. So it's really nice to have that. I can do 500-600 miles days on this motorcycle, mixed asphalt, dirt, and not be totally exhausted because I can put it in cruise control. So this is pretty neat, I gotta say. That's the adaptive cruise control is a great addition. So you also get something that's, I think now should be standard in every high-end flagship, and that's that cornering headlights. My God, saves lives. You can lean this motorcycle by a certain degree, and it'll turn on another headlight, lean it on another degree, and you get a little more, and it's shining into the corner, so you could really see what's ahead, especially in night riding. Now, if you're night riding, you're doing something wrong, right? Because you should probably avoid that. You got animals, you got all kinds of things that are not to your favor. However, with this bike, it's way more forgiving for 2 reasons. One, 6-axis IMU, measuring everything at all times in microseconds and allowing you to get home safe even when you screw up and take a little more than you can chew. It's visible in this little clip where the buddy that was riding in front of me took the corner of an unknown road a little too quickly, and you could see the rear wheel correcting for him. So much so, he even thought he was going down. He put his foot down, it's kind of instinctively, and the bike fixes it, and off he goes. And he told me he was pretty dang scared right there. So the bike is doing all of that while you're riding. You don't have to, it's ultimately safer. We all like to think we don't need ABS. You don't need it until you need it, right? We all like to think we like the raw power of a motorcycle, that you control everything. Yes, absolutely. But every now and then, if you put enough miles, I mean, on motorcycles like I do, I'm a professional motorcyclist, I ride every day, ride all kinds of bikes, you get a little too excited, especially if you have a significant other in the rear here. You want to make sure that you could still ride hard, but come home safe. So the IMU is something that's now standard on really the high-end motorcycles like the MV Agustas. I did a factory tour last summer. Check that out. They have their Enduro Veloce as well, amazing motorcycle. I have a Super Veloce 800. And every bike from no matter if it's a $100,000 Super Veloce 800 Ago or the 250,000 euro Super Veloce 800, the special edition model, you still get the same tech. And that's the tech that's also in here. The 6-axis IMU saves lives, in my opinion, and it's great because it's very unintrusive. You don't realize it's there until you actually need it. So the other part is the suspension. The suspension on this motorcycle is KTM renown. You know, you turn on the bike and it says born to race, and you can't race unless your bike is firmly planted on the ground and articulating everything that the road throws at it. And this is so forgiving because on a motorcycle that's as fast as any street bike, you can ride this harder because this is better on bad roads where you got a rut come out into the asphalt, or there's a pothole or something to that effect. Maybe you bend the rim, but it's actually not even leaking. But it can just absorb everything, and it really makes this so much of a faster motorcycle. Check out my review of the 1290 versus the 1190 Adventure R, and pretty impressive. That bike is a little bit lighter, 150 horse versus 160, and I actually do a little desert drag race, and I was surprised by the outcome. But when I turned to look at that motorcycle at 130 miles an hour and how the wheel was just bouncing all over the place and the rear flying all over the place, it made me really appreciate this, that I couldn't do that on my Super Veloce, which is a super sport monster, right? Aside from being gorgeous, I couldn't do it because the suspension isn't there. You'd be off the road more than you're on it. So pretty cool drag race, but that was a little freaky at those speeds. You hit 141?
No, just 41.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I was gonna say buck 30, but you hit 140 on that thing?
141 is what it said.
Yeah. On private roads?
No, I mean, in theory, it could do that speed.
In theory, but you hit somewhere under
I
that.
don't think anyone's ever done that.
Yeah.
Certainly not recently.
Yeah.
Today.
And if they did it, they did it on private roads because they're professional riders on a closed course.
They'd be smart and do
Yeah.
that sort of thing, but no one we know of do.
Yeah. Only idiots drag race on those things. The suspension itself, right now it's in sport mode, as is the motorcycle engine tuning itself. Look at this gorgeous curve here, and the shadows are playing with us a little bit. There seems to be a little dirt on the side. We're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. But the tech of the bike keeps you stable. The tech and a little bit of healthy fear of a machine that really is superb. KTM's known for their racing heritage, and you really get that here. I mean, every imperfection of the road is superbly absorbed by the suspension. The 6-axis IMU, internal measurement units, working overtime to keep you planted. Look at this gorgeous serpentine. Even here, when you see something like this dip, you never really lose grip or never leave the air. The suspension is really doing its thing. And I think for me always the most attractive factor with KTM has been the suspension. And you can really get low here. You can see the sides of the roads looks like they've been cleared out. So there's a little bit of dirt and loose gravel that I'm going to try to avoid. And now we're getting up into the woody part. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Isle of Man, where you start getting into the canopy, and it's divine. I love San Diego because we have all these incredible opportunities to ride so many different scenes. Even in one day, you can go to the desert, ride the dunes, or the dry riverbeds, the arroyos, which are really, really subliminal. And then you can do the mountains, you can do the coast. It's just an incredible place. Let me show you. I got 2 tours leading from San Diego, the SoCal tour and the Eastern Sierras that you can explore with me. I love it here. Just a fantastic road right in my backyard. And this bike just flows. It really is not intense. And on my Super Veloce 800, this road is a lot more hard on your wrists, on your back, just because the suspension is so stiff and the wheels are so small, and obviously cannot take all these imperfections of the road as well as the semi-active suspension that WP has bestowed on this magnificent piece of engineering. And I'm not really needing to shift at all. The bike's geared very, very well, even in the mountains. I never really bogged or anything. It's just it's right where it needs to be. The 19 front inch wheel makes the bike a lot more agile than its off-road cousin, the R version. So you can really enjoy these curves. And I'm on knobbies, mind you, and there's no issues whatsoever. Never have I felt unsecure. This bike provides you the ability on the fly switch the suspension modes between, you have road, you have sport, you have rain. Rain obviously detunes it. In road and sport you get both, all 160 horsepower. Just in road it comes on a little quieter. You get off-road, and then you get enduro. Enduro is everything crazy, right? Off-road, which is really great. You get ABS that you can turn off just for the rear. So like dirt ABS turns off the rear, keeps the front, which is kind of nice. And it remembers it, so you don't have to switch it on and off every time you turn off the motorcycle, which is kind of neat. And everything is beautifully displayed on the 7-inch TFT, gorgeous display. This motorcycle is keyless, so what you have to do is press the button here. It turns on, ready to race. That's on every KTM. It's pretty impressive. And then here it is. I'm very impressed with how intuitive this use of this, the options and the controls are in this motorcycle. When you start the bike, it kind of gives you the general picture. All of this, of course, is adjustable. You can put what you want displayed, and this is now in day mode. There's a dark light black mode, and it's all automatic. And then you have this really intuitive menu setup here. I like it a lot. The buttons are backlit. You can adjust that as well. The return button, cruise control, plus minus on the other side, and then you have European passing light, which is really great. Love that. I think that's a safety thing too for motorcycles. And then you press the middle button here, and it'll change basically the menu. When you start the bike, it tells you what's green, what's blue, what's orange, what's red. Like if your tire pressures are low, the tire is going to be red. Everything's good to go. The battery's a little low because we're not running. Coolant, gas, tire pressure, obviously. So then you go down the line. Here you have tire pressure monitor system, and it doesn't warn you that it's low when you're in off-road like it does on a Tiger, which is very annoying to have to look at that all the time. Water temperature, I've never gotten it over 207, even with a slightly lower reservoir. Oil, battery, odometer, service lights, and the best thing about this, when you go into service, if you press the return and the down, I believe it is, and you hold it there, you can reset the service life yourself. You don't have to go to KTM dealer and pay somebody to do it. And warnings, tells you warnings about the bike. Let's go back. Trip 1, trip 2, reset, all standard. This is where you adjust the ride mode. Street, sport, rain, off-road, rally, right? And you can do that on the fly, you just let go of the throttle. ABS mode, also something that depends on what road mode you're in. And here you can adjust how much slippage the motorcycle will allow for in the rear wheel, as well as in the slipper clutch, which is obviously equipped on this motorcycle. And then you go to suspension, my favorite. Suspension between comfort, off-road, advanced, auto, kind of interesting, sport, street, and comfort again is the most floaty one of them all. When I've had 2 up now, I've done comfort. I do notice it floaty. I like to ride in street. Preload adjuster is adjustable in 10 percentages, so 10 times. You can go all the way down to 0, and you can feel the bike lowering in the rear, which is kind of nice. And the anti-dive, self-explanatory. I have that on all the time. Here is how you can set up the custom switch. Let me take you to this one. So it's basically this switch right here. Custom 1, custom 2. I have custom 1 to adjust my to adjust my ABS, and custom 2 to adjust the ride mode. So it's kind of interesting, and you can do that. You can switch that up here. Favorites, favorites are what displays in the bottom screen here. The tire pressure monitor and the anti-relay attack. This is something we need to talk about. So the key with this motorcycle, you're supplied with a keyless fob. This is a huge handicap for this motorcycle. I'll tell you why. Two reasons. One, it's got a battery. Sometimes the battery, you don't know actually that you need a new battery and it won't start. You're panicking a little bit. There is an antenna here to the left of the fork, so you can approximate your fob to there, and hopefully the battery will suffice to start the bike. If you lose that key, they give you this little guy, and I haven't figured out how to open it to change the battery on that. The fob opens, starts the bike, locks the handlebars, opens the gas tank, which is 6.1, about 180 mile range on the gas tank, and also removes the top seat. There's a button on this side to remove it. So keyless completely. Now I don't know how it works with the OEM KTM luggage. I think they still use a key, which kind of defeats the purpose of this. The other problem of this key is that because it opens the gas tank, when you're off-road, the dirt gets in here, and we've had this last trip actually, the BMW, the 1300, had issues opening that because there was so much dirt, so we had to remove these screws in order to get to it. No need to reinvent the wheel. This is a liability for long distance touring if you're away from this is not fun for me to have. Anti-relay attack is something that if you have turned on, it means that nobody can basically relay. Let's say you're sitting at a cafe over there, your key is sitting there, somebody's passing by with the relay projector or whatever in their pocket, and somebody's by your bike. They can't start the bike that way. So that's the anti-relay attack. But sometimes it locks the bike for like 5 minutes, right? If it doesn't sense the key or if the battery is low. I've also experienced riding away without the key, not getting warned that the key is not on my body, and there you are. You better not forget to keep the bike running, otherwise you're not getting home. I really don't like it. It's really not necessary. So that's, I think, why this bike suffers a handicap for adventure touring, because it's just not necessary. So that's the display. Very, very beautiful to look at. You get this manually adjustable, I think it's about 5 centimeters of height on this screen. I actually add this little spoiler because I like it there. And you can adjust it with either hand, which is kind of nice. And I like that it's manual adjustable. So it's really, really great for that. Looks good. Everything feels good. The handguards are plastic, kind of harder plastic, but again, hopefully you're not dropping this bike, because yeah, you get a little pocket here. I'll show you what that looks like. It's actually deep enough, it doesn't look like it, but it's deep enough to fit a phone in there, and well, older phones, smaller phones basically. So that's kind of a neat little design, but I've noticed that I'm starting to scratch it with my tank bag. This is a 2-part seat, fairly comfortable, and you get a toolkit underneath. The Adventure R has a 1-part seat, and the seat is adjustable. I think it's about 34 inches at the moment, but you can see all this space. It could drop another inch to 33, and that's without tools or anything. So obviously chain driven. This, unlike the other bikes in this class, it is not shaft driven motorcycle, and that's fine by me. I mean, shaft drive adds another 100 pounds, and it's already, you know, kind of pushing up there. You get this big KTM muffler, which is also very heavy, but that's what you need to meet Euro 5 standards. And I've noticed they've changed the design to access the overflow reservoir for the coolant, which is nice because you just remove this and you can fill it. On the other bike, it was a little more laborious to do on the 1190. There's no real protection for the bottom, it's just plastic. You can really consider protecting that. The radiator grills are protected by this Turotech, and it's actually metal. Protection for both sides, of course, and I would highly recommend that. Heat management is really, really great, thanks to both sides having this ventilated airflow away from the rider, really quite away from you, and you don't really feel it. You know, the highest I've seen this is 207, just kind of hanging out in the heat. That's partly because I was afraid to shut it off because I was having issues with the fob, and sometimes it would not turn on. So always carry extra batteries. I think they're 2032s for your fob. Here you have this little panel that you can remove, behind which you have this little pull for the seat. So if your battery dies and you need to remove the seat, that's how you do that. You do it with that switch, and it's just these kind of generic little tabs, and I keep my tender there nice and tucked away. I do like that. And if you do buy the graphics kits, you can, this part is also all decked out. So do I have that the wrong way? There you go. kind of snaps, and I don't think that would fall out. There it is. Is it for you, or should you look at the Adventure R? It all depends how much dirt you want to do. If you really think you're going to be doing a lot of dirt that's pushing some limits, this bike can still do it, but you are looking to replace the wheels. They do sell spoked rims for KTM for this motorcycle on their website, and actually the wheels are interchangeable with the 1190 as well. What isn't typically direct plug and play is the ABS module, etc. So don't just buy it and do it and say Nick told me and it doesn't work. So just make sure that you do your research before doing that, but you can put wheels on this motorcycle. So again, my favorite part of the bike is how they keep the weight low, how the motorcycle is manageable. I'm starting to really get used to the tech, especially the cruise control. I find it very, very valuable just because I'm having issues with my carpal tunnel. And other than that, the bike's been awesome. You don't even feel you got a passenger back there. 160 horsepower, 101 foot-pounds of torque. It's no joke. You're not bored. I don't know why they felt the need to detune it. I think if the motor can push out 180, give me 180 if that's what I paid for, you know. It's and then especially because I can manipulate the ride modes. Why change that part? But to each their own. It's a great bike as well because the adventure touring nature and character of KTM tells you everything. With these bolt-on foot pegs for the passenger and the subframe means that you can replace it if it breaks. Unlike on the Tiger where it's welded, so you fall, you bend the foot peg and it bends the subframe, and that's it. The motorcycle is done for. So overall, great motorcycle, especially you throw some knobbies on it. They do stick with the kind of old school incandescent blinkers front and rear, which whatever, it's fine. But I don't like that the brakes in the front are 320, 4 on each side, 4 pistons on each side, Brembos of course. The rear has this weird little, you know, kind of cable for the ABS that's just hanging out. I don't like that because you can catch something, a brush or a rock or something, but I'll just leave it back there. But then it's rubbing like unnaturally. So the brakes are great. Perhaps could be a little stronger, but then again, you know, it has to do with the tires and everything else. So Brembos, I mean, the best in the market. So you do get a lot of amazing equipment here. I had a Pelican case screwed directly into the shelf here that is provided by the motorcycle, and it's, you know, very easy to install a Pelican case here. So I have that on my 1190. If you want the original cases, you do get underneath here, you do get a way to connect them. They slide in here and here. So, you know, if you're all about OEM luggage, which I really am, then you can do that. Right now, I'm riding with the Pelican case and this adventure style tank bag from our local here, Viking. I'm familiar with their products. They're up from Anaheim, and they make good bags. I have their backpack still. I love their products. So take a look at that review when I reviewed the Moto Guzzi Flying Fortress. This is their adventure touring bag, and I had a Moscow Moto before it, and it was a little confusing. This one I like more. I think that's everything about the bike. I really like it. Now, between the 1190 and the 1290, you got to look at that versus video, because the 1190 is a very different motorcycle, even though it is a predecessor to this motorcycle. And they don't really share any more equipment because the frame was totally redesigned. So I think this remains the best value in adventure touring on the market today. So take a look at it, and if you find one, even in like old stock, 5-year warranty, it's a no joke. It's great to have. KTM now seems to be, you know, standing behind their motorcycles. So let's see. I haven't had any issues with this. I mean, it's been, you know, 9,000 miles, and it's been so fun for like bombing down Eastern Sierras on, you know, 6 hours, 400 miles in a day. This would be the bike. Speaking of Eastern Sierras, check out my tour, Eastern Sierra Tour, PegasusMotorcycleTours.com, and let me take you there. It's like the best riding I think you can do in the United States. Thanks again for watching. Quick and dirty review. Nick Pegasus Motorcycle Tours bringing you the KTM 1290, one of the most fun and safest motorcycles I've had. Don't really like all the plastic and the orange, and I don't like the fob. Other than that, hell of a motorcycle. Stay tuned until the next one. Nick, I'm out.